Hey everybody, this is Aaron with the Oil Bounce. I've got 30 years of trading experience in the oil markets, and some of you have been asking about some tradable information, maybe some advice about day trading or short-term trades, and some news has come out here just recently that I want to share with you that maybe you could trade around tomorrow, or at least give you an opportunity, something to look at in terms of see how the market reacts and that sort of thing versus expectations. So typically, when the calendars are normal, there's no holidays during the week. The API numbers come out on Tuesday night. That's American Petroleum Institute numbers. It's sort of a voluntary number. I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole of where they come from and what it is, but basically it's meant to be like a precursor, or maybe give you some insight on what the DOE numbers are going to be coming out the following day. So normally the DOE numbers come out at 9:30 on Wednesday morning Central Time, and they can move markets around. It's definitely something that oil traders look at and study and take some time to sort of reflect on. Every once in a while you'll get some API numbers that are a little bit weird or exciting, and they give you a little bit of an edge. So again, that's sort of the purpose of this video. It's the 19th of August at about 5:45 p.m. my time. Anyway, the API numbers today came out with a draw of 2.4 million barrels in crude oil, most of that coming from the Midwest and the Gulf Coast. It looks sort of reading between the lines like maybe exports ramp back up in pad 3, so we'll see here tomorrow. Cushing stocks look about unchanged, up 100,000 barrels or so. Maybe that's not too exciting. The API have distillate stocks up quite a bit. When you sort of adjust for the air term between the two reporting agencies, that would sort of imply a 1.4 million barrel increase for distillate stocks on the DOE. So I've been fairly, well, I should say relatively bullish on distillate versus crude, so on like a heat crack, if you will. And as you know, I've been fairly bearish on crude, especially the last video that I put up. So let's go to the candlestick chart really quick and let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay, hopefully you can see the pointer here. So again, September crude goes off the board tomorrow on the 20th of August. Please, please, please make sure that that is not what you are trading. Please trade the October contract or further or something further. Just stay away from the contract that's expiring unless you have storage at Cushing. And it would be okay if you accidentally went into expiration. That being said, looking at the October contract here as the front month today, we did break below this trend support line that I talked about in the bigger video this week. So in my mind, that leads us to breaking through it again sometime this week. I've got this descending is now a resistance line. Obviously, it was support back here, but it's just kind of getting us into this squeeze where the market needs to break out. It's, as these two lines come together, the market's going to have to do something. Typically speaking, not always, typically speaking, the market breaks out the same direction it went in. So we're moving lower. As long as this squeeze continues, just sort of left to its own devices, the market will probably pop out lower unless you get some really bullish information coming out, which is why I wanted to come to you today with this short video. So if we do get a big draw in crude stocks, and a draw of 2.4 really isn't all that big, I guess, again, if you try to line it back up and square up the two, the API and the DOE together, it would be a bigger crude draw, maybe of 4 million is what they're sort of projecting or implying. That's a decent crude draw. Pad 3 stocks have been increasing. So what I'm saying is there's the possibility that tomorrow when the DOE numbers come out, you could get a little scooch up higher. In my mind, again, for a very short-term trade, if we were to get up here, I'd probably want to sell into that. And that's because of getting up near this resistance level, so 6250-ish type level, I probably want to start thinking about selling if we did rally up there. If we break below this support line here, 6180-ish, we'll be probably wanting to add some shorts, maybe very carefully. We'll see what happens. As the week moves on, I'd be more and more excited about adding shorts. But at any rate, the other piece of information I want to share with you is it sounds like BP Whiting, which is a big Chicago area refinery, suffered some flooding due to rain activity and lightning storms and that sort of thing, and they've shut down multiple units at the refinery. BP Whiting, again, Chicago area, it's a massive refinery. It's a really big deal. The longer it's down, obviously, the less refined product finds its way into the Chicago market, which really has no bearing on the futures market. The futures market's New York Harbor. There's not a great way. There is a way. There's not a great way to connect those two markets together. So usually they're relatively independent of each other. In that Chicago market, you can trade basis swaps on that if you know what that is. Uh, and they can be very choppy. They can have huge moves, especially when something like the BP refinery goes offline for whatever reason. So the point is, though, especially when it comes back to crude, that barrels that may, again, it depends how long this outage lasts. And really, all I have is information that they had to shut it down in an emergency type procedure because of these floodwaters. The crude that would be going to the refinery normally could get pushed back to Cushing, and we could start to rebuild barrels that way. So that would be one sort of bearish thing coming out of this. So again, the longer the refinery outage is at BP Whiting, probably the more bearish it is on crude, as those barrels have to get redirected and will probably get redirected towards Cushing. That could be pretty interesting. You could see a little bit more pull on the Gulf Coast in terms of diesel or gasoline making its way up north if you're trading that Gulf Coast basis. So again, it's just a matter of sort of waiting to see how long before they can get up and running again. When a refinery goes down all of a sudden, like if there's a power outage, that's probably a worst case scenario because you weren't able to control the shutdown. In this case, it's unclear to me if they had time to take the units down in an orderly fashion. If that's the case, it may not be that big of a deal. If they had got shut down, in an emergency type situation where you don't go through all the procedures you're supposed to go through, that could make it much harder to start up again. Especially on things like the cat cracker, they're very sensitive on restarts, and especially the way they were shut down previously. So just sort of keep that in mind. Again, this is meant to be just sort of a quick video alerting you of certain things going on. If you are sort of looking to day trade, especially in the futures market, I would pull up the crude chart tomorrow around 9:30. That's when the numbers come out. It's 9:30 Central Time, and see how this market moves. Just because the numbers we get tomorrow should be relatively bullish, and I would probably want to sell into that. I just told you the BP Whiting refinery is down. That's not going to be reflected in the numbers that come out tomorrow. The numbers that come out tomorrow are as of Friday, and we just got news on Tuesday that the BP Whiting refinery went down. So in time, they're separate spots in time, but the shutdown that has consequently happened today on Tuesday, the 19th of August, will likely push barrels back to Cushing and ultimately be bearish on crude from that perspective. So just wanted to let you know real quick. Let me know if you like this sort of thing. Please like and subscribe. Again, I'm coming at it from more of a futures standpoint than from the equity side of things, but I think it's also worth investigating from the equity side of things. BP makes, supposedly they make a ton of money off of that Whiting refinery. If it's offline, again, that could have consequences. The good thing is that if it's off for a long period of time, that basis market's going to absolutely roof and margins are going to be fantastic for when they do get back up and running. They probably should make a decent chunk of money. It's just not making money between now and then, right? So that's all I got for you. Again, please like and subscribe. If you want more information, go to our website, theoilbalance.com, and we'll see you later. Bye.